The floating island. Beat was now a year older. During that year she had lost little Beat, but she had never forgotten her. Big Beat had many dolls given to her, but not one was like little Beat. No one was so sweet and good-natured, no one so pretty and graceful. It was a Saturday, and the next day, Sunday, she expected her friends, Marie and Louise, on a visit, for it was her birthday. Therefore she wanted to decorate her dollhouse as prettily as she could. Beat knew what to do. On the hillside by the black pond she remembered that she had seen the prettiest little snail shells anyone might wish for, round and fluted, with yellow and brown markings. They would be just the thing for her bureau. She ran off to search for them, slipping in and out through the hazel bushes, and picking empty shells by the dozen. But all of a sudden she heard a bird utter such a weird cry from the lake. She peeped out between the green branches and saw a big bird swimming about. It had a long blue neck and a white breast, but its back was shining black. It swam fast, and then suddenly dived and was gone. Beat stood there and stared at the water, hoping to see the bird come up again. But she waited and waited in vain. She was frightened, thinking it was drowned, when she saw it shoot up again far away, almost in the middle of the lake. Then it began to swim slowly toward a tiny green island which lay there, and crept into the high weeds and grasses that hung over the water. Beat could not get tired of looking at the pretty little island. Willow bushes grew out of the grass in some places, and in one end grew a little white-barked birch tree. Beat thought she had never seen anything half so lovely. It seemed just like a strange little land, all by itself. At last Beat remembered that she must hurry home. Again she peeped through the leaves and branches to say good night to the island, when, think of it, the little green island was gone. She thought of goblins and fairies, and ran up the path to the top of the hill as fast as she could. But when she got there she had to look again, and she became more astonished than ever, for now she saw the little green island again, but far from the place where she first saw it. It was sailing slowly toward the southern end of the lake, and the silver birch was its sail. As soon as Beat reached home she found Nan, the nurse, and told her what she had seen, and knew all about the floating island. It had been on the lake for many years, she said, but there were many strange things about it. One thing she would tell, and that was, that if anyone stood on the floating island and took a loon's egg out of the nest and wished for something, that wish would come true, if the egg was put safely back into the nest again. If you wished to become a princess of England, your wish would indeed be fulfilled, said old Anne. But there was one more thing to notice. You must not talk about it to a living soul, not even to father and mother, asked Beat. No, said Anne, not to a living soul. Beat could think of nothing but the island all that evening, and when she had closed her eyes she could dream of nothing else all night. Just as soon as Beat got up in the morning she begged her father to row her and Marie and Louise out to the floating island, when they came to visit her in the afternoon, and that he promised. But he also asked how she had happened to think of that, and what she wanted there. Beat thought first that she would tell him everything, but then she remembered Anne's words, and said only that she wished to go out there because the little green island was so pretty. Yes, indeed, it is pretty, and you shall see a loon's nest too, said the father. Then Beat's face grew red, and the tears came to her eyes, for she knew well enough about the loon's nest and about the eggs. In the afternoon the father took the three little girls down to the lake. Beat's friends thought this was the loveliest place they had ever seen, and they begged the father to stop and get some of the pretty water lilies for them. But Beat was longing for the floating island. The father rowed close up to the island and around it, and when he came to the other side the loon plunged out of the reeds into the water and was gone. There is the loon's nest, said the father. What joy! The loon's nest was on the very edge of the little tiny island, hidden among the grasses, and in the nest were two big greyish-brown eggs, with black spots, larger than any goose eggs. Marie and Louise shouted and laughed, but Beat felt strangely frightened and was very quiet. She begged her father to let her stand on the island, only a minute, and would he let her take one of the eggs in her hand. The father told her she must be very careful, just lift the egg gently between her two fingers, for if the bird noticed that the egg had been touched she would not hatch it. And now Beat stood on the green floating island. She was excited when she bent down to pick up the greyish-brown egg, but lifted it carefully between two fingers. Now she might wish for anything in the wide, wide world. And what do you think she wished for? To become a princess of England. Oh, no, she knew something far better than that. Then her lips moved softly, and she whispered to herself, I wish that little Beat was with me once more, and would never, never leave me. Carefully she put the egg back into the nest. What was the pink something her eye now caught sight of among the tall reeds close to the nest? It was her doll. Beat gave one shriek of joy. "Little Beat, my own little Beat," she sobbed. When she had her own dearest friend in her arms again, she covered her with tears and kisses, and held her tight in her arms as if she would never in the world let her go. Her father, Marie, and Louise stood by without saying a word. At last the father kissed his little girl, and lifted her onto the raft again. Such a birthday party as Beat had now. What did it matter that her year's rains and snows had faded Little Beat's cheeks and bleached her brown curls? She was the guest of honor, and sat on the prettiest chair. She had all the cookies and chocolate that she wanted. She was petted and loved, and at night, tired and happy, Big Beat slept with her little friend in her arms.